YouTube. So today I'd like to introduce you to solving linear algebra. Now, linear algebra is simple algebra without x squares in it. It's usually quite straightforward. There's just a few skills that you need to master in order for you to be able to do this. So one of the skills is expanding brackets. And another one of the skills is how do you move quantities from side to side. So when you're doing algebra, it's very important that you understand that the equal sign is actually like the middle of a football pitch or the middle of a tennis court, and you're only allowed to move quantities from side to side if you follow the rules of algebra. So the algebra rules are quite straightforward, and I'm going to write them here for you. So there are some rules. So these apply to moving quantities from side to side. So if you move a quantity from one side to another and it's a positive number, it moves to the other side and becomes a negative number. So we say plus becomes minus. Conversely, if you move a minus from the left to the right, minus becomes a plus. And a times becomes divide. And then the last rule, you've probably guessed it by now, is a divide becomes times. So these are the rules to move things from side to side. If you think that this is the middle of a football pitch, you're allowed to move the -8 to the right as long as you turn it into a plus. So these are the rules of algebra. So in doing so, we're going to try and solve equations like these and to get to x equal at the end, to find where the x quantity is. So I'm going to give you 3 equations today, and we're going to work through using the rules. Okay, we'll work through the operations. So the first thing I could do here is to move the -8 to the other side, and perhaps I can expand the bracket. Now, if you don't know how to expand a bracket, you could look at one of our other videos about expanding brackets. You have to multiply 2 by x and 2 by 5. Okay, so I'm going to expand this bracket first, and then move the -8 to the other side. So 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 5 is 10. Now if I move the -8 to the other side, it becomes a +8. So I can say 6 plus 8. So luckily enough, 6 plus 8 is 14. So I can do that now. And here I have 2x plus 10. Now I could move the plus 10 to the other side. Plus becomes minus. So I'm going to say 2x. 2x is going to stay put. And I'm going to use my rule. My plus is going to move to the other side. And it's going to become a -10. Okay. So 2x is equal to, okay, what's 14 minus 10? That is 4. And then I use my last rule, which is times becomes divide. So 2x, I'm going to move the 2 to the other side. X equals 4 divided by 2. So don't put the 2 at the top. If you move the 2, the x stays put, the 4 stays put, and the 2 becomes a divide because it's 2 times x. So 2 times x means it becomes divide. So x is equal to 2. So we come to the end of our operation here, and we're pretty happy with everything, but the beautiful thing about mathematics is you can be 100% sure that you got the answer right. Now, how would you do that? Well, if x was equal to 2, 2 times 2 plus 5 minus 8 would be equal to 6. So let's try that out. What's 2 plus 5? Now this you can do in your mind. 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 minus 8 is 6. 6 is equal to 6. Story checks out. So I'm 100% sure that I got this answer right. I'm really happy that I'm getting 100% in my test, and I can move on. Okay, so here's another one. This time it looks a little bit more complicated, but we can just follow the same principles and we're going to be absolutely fine. So you see here that I have 4 times a bracket and -3 times a bracket. Now, it's tempting to use this minus sign first or to do any other operation than you should, but what you should really be doing is multiplication first and multiplication first. So 4 times the bracket goes first, -3 times the bracket goes first. So you have to expand the 2 brackets. That's because in mathematics, multiplication happens before addition and subtraction because of BEDMAS, or you can call it PODMAS, PIDMAS. You know, there's so many ways to call it. So the principle is that multiplication has priority over addition. So 4 times x minus 7, well, what's 4 times x? That is 4x, and 4 times -7, oh, that's a bit difficult. A negative times a positive, so positive times a negative is a negative number, and 4 times 7 is 28, so 4x minus 28. And then -3 times x is -3x, and -3 times positive 1 is -3. This is equal to -23. Okay, so before you move anything from side to side, you better simplify numbers on one side first. So the x's can go together and the numbers can go together. So you have 4x's here and minus 3x's here. So 4 minus 3 is 1, so we just write x. We don't write 1x, we just say x, okay? And then minus 28 minus 3, well, imagine you're at minus 28 meters underwater and you go down by 3. Well, you'll be at minus 31 meters. So this is minus 31 is equal to minus 23. So then if I move this quantity to the other side, I follow the rules of algebra, minus 23 plus 31, so this is my minus becomes plus rule. I'm at minus 23 meters underwater, I go up by 31, I find myself at 8 meters above water, so this is my answer, x equals 8. Now, again, I need to double check my work. So how do I double check my work? I just plug it in. 4 times 8 minus 7. What is 8 minus 7? That's 1. So 4 times 1 would be 4. And then minus 3 times x plus 1. 8 plus 1 is 9. Negative 3 times 9 is negative 27. So this is negative 27 and this is 4. What is 4 minus 27? Oh, negative 23. So I know for sure that I got my answer right. And therefore, I can move on and be happy that I got the question right. Okay? So I wanted to introduce you to one of these questions because I've seen a lot of students make mistakes on these. And again, it's because of BEDMAS. It's very tempting here to do 3 minus 2 first and say it's 1 times the bracket. But it's not. It's minus 2 times the bracket first. That's because this is a multiplication and this is a subtraction, and the multiplication will happen first. So the first thing you have to do is multiply this bracket. So you go 3 minus 2 times x, so minus 2x, and minus 2 times 5 is minus 10, equal 1. Okay, well, that's great. Now, what could I do with this? Well, I could put the 3 with the negative 10, which would give me negative 7. So I could say minus 2x minus 7 equals 1. You could here do one of two things. You could move the minus 2x to the right, turn it into positive. Now, I'm a big proponent of keeping the variable positive. That makes your life a lot easier, but it's not a problem. You can move the minus 7 to the right as well. So let's do that. Minus 2x equals minus 7, so 7 plus 1. So I've moved the negative to the other side. I follow the rule, and it becomes a positive. Now 7 plus 1 is 8. So I can say minus 2x equals 8. And then I come to my last step, which is times becomes divide. So x equal 8 divided by negative 2. Now be careful, when you do times becomes divide, you're not changing the sign, because you're not doing plus becomes minus, you're doing times becomes divide. So if it was times negative 2, it's divided by negative 2. You don't change the sign. This is a classic mistake as well. So what is 8 divided by negative 2? Well, a positive divided by a negative is a negative number, and then 8 divided by 2, that's easy enough, that is 4. So negative 4. So that's my answer for this question, and again, I would recommend that you double check. So if x was negative 4 plus 5 would be 1. 1 times negative 2 would be negative 2. And then 3 minus 2 would be 1, so 1 is equal to 1. So I'm 100% sure again that I got this question right. I can happily move on in my test and feel confident that I'm doing my mathematics right and I know how to solve these kind of equations. So I hope this was useful to you. If it is, please like our channel and follow us. We're on Instagram at MathMagicMD, and you can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/HLMathMagic. And remember, math comes easy when you know what you're doing. See you next time.